Many thanks for staying with us. This, of course, is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. Now, let's start off by telling you that a series of violent attacks occurred in Okuama, a community in Delta State, Nigeria. The attacks resulted in the loss of lives, destruction of properties, and displacement of residents. Reports indicate that the violence was perpetrated by armed men, allegedly linked to a rival community who invaded Okuama and killed residents. The motives behind the attack was pretty much unclear, but it is believed to be related to a long-standing land dispute between the two communities. The Nigerian government has been criticized for its slow response to the crisis and the lack of adequate security measures to protect the affected community. Residents of Okuama, surrounded by communities, have condemned the attacks, calling for peace and reconciliation. Also, human rights organizations and international bodies have expressed concern over the violence, urging the Nigerian government to take divisive or decisive action to prevent further attacks. Well, joining me on the program this evening to discuss this is Professor Godini Darah. As a former chairman of PANDEF, he joins, of course, that's PANDEF Delta State chapter. He joins virtually from Delta State. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
All right, it's great to have you. Now, for the benefit of our viewers at home, PANDEF is actually Pan-Niger Delta Forum Forum for the Emancipation of the Niger Delta. Once again, it's great to have you join us on Politics HQ on News Central. Now, let me start by asking Professor Darah, looking at what we saw, a while back in Okuama, that very unfortunate event, and developing stories pretty much disturbing that have followed up. What do you make of this?
No, we think it is an act of terrorism against an innocent community, because from March 14, when this incident occurred, everybody was surprised that 17 personnel of the armed forces were lost in that peace mission. And we expected to hear more from the army. What was the cause of the death, and who was the one that authorized the mission, and what was the mission aimed at? But things got worse for Okuama, because a few days later, the army entered the community and razed it down. Every building was brought down. Only an Anglican church, we are told, was spared. So it became so atrocious that we don't think that that is the Nigerian army. So we're asking questions.
Professor Darah, if you can hear me, it looks like we have a bit of connectivity issues there. Well, just to bring you up to speed as regards the developments in Okuama, very unfortunate a while ago. Of course, we saw things did occur there in Okuama community. The killings refer to, of course, a tragic event in which about 17 soldiers were killed in the community in Delta State. The event has been widely condemned by Nigerians, as the victims included a lieutenant colonel. And the incident has left many residents of the community, mostly women and children, stranded in the forest while fleeing for their lives. The community is still reeling from the aftermath, of that tragedy, with many homes and properties destroyed. Now, despite the Nigerian army's presence, the community lies in ruins. The governor of the state, that's Sheriff Urhobo, has expressed sympathy over the incident, but many are calling for more decisive action to prevent further tragedies. Now, this unfortunate killings have highlighted the need for improved security measures and conflict resolution strategies in the region. It's pretty much sad that even developing stories, as regards that, are really not much to write home about. But at this point, we will go on a quick break. When we return, of course, we will pick up. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. This, of course, is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me, Professor Godini Darah, is the former chairman of PANDEF Delta State Chapter. He joins virtually. Thank you for your time and staying with me, sir. Before we lost you, yes, a while ago, you were trying to establish a point as regards what you feel is going on within Okuama and the issues around it.
Yes, Okuama said there is an Urhobo community in Ughelli South local government area of Delta State. And on the 14th of March, there was an incident there. And the army claimed that they went on a peace mission. And in the process, they lost 17 of their officers. And the whole world was shocked. Both Urhobo, Delta, Nigeria, and the whole world condemned that incident. And then we expected that some investigation would go on to establish the cause of that tragic mission. But what we saw, or what we have experienced in the past 9 months, is that the army proceeded to wreak vengeance on the Okuama community, as if everybody in the community was involved in that fracas. They didn't arrest people first. They first demolished. That kind of story you hear in the Bible called Sodom and Gomorrah. They demolished the entire town, brought every building down. It is unheard of in peacetime Nigeria.
Professor Darah, we seem to have lost some sort of connectivity with you. If you can hear me. All right, just of course to bring our viewers up to speed, we are discussing issues around the Okuama killings, which happened a while in Delta State. I mean, a series of violent attacks which occurred in that region, a community in Delta State. The attacks resulted in the loss of lives, destruction of properties, and also displacement of some residents. Really tragic because follow-up to that, there has been developing stories as regards the arrest of some notable members of the community and even some winding up dead. So what exactly are the core issues here? Many are even going as far as asking what really even triggered these series of events. I mean, these are real questions that demand answers. Even though the government has said it will trigger an investigation into the actual course of events, for many observers of this development, they feel the government is either too slow, dilly-dallying, or not really touching the issues where it ought to be. But we, of course, have with us Professor Godini Darah, is a former chairman of PANDEF Delta State Chapter. It's trying to help us make sense of all of this. We seem to have a bit of connectivity issues with him. Probably we'll pay some bills when we return. The show continues. Stay with us. Well, Professor Godini Darah is our guest and, of course, is still with us. Professor Darah, it's great to still have you. I, of course, observed you were trying to establish a point. All right, Professor Darah, we sort of lost the bulk of what you said. So we would like you to do a bit of recap.
That act of injustice has been committed against innocent people of Okuama. And it should be investigated and reparations extended to the victims of that atrocity. It is unheard of in peacetime. The Nigerian army, we knew, had done peace works all over the world. They went to Congo, they went to Tanzania, they went to Lebanon, they went to Czech Republic, they did military work in Okuama. There's never a time it was heard that a Nigerian community was subjected to this level of barbaric and demonic attack. So we're asking for leaders to be free and fair. Those who are detained now should be released so that they can be taken to court. Following that, the federal government, we have addressed a petition to the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, to establish an independent commission to look into all the ramifications of the crisis, so that the innocent victims can be freed.
Okay, now, Professor Darah, you are, if I got you correctly, you are demanding that the innocent victims, in your words, that have been arrested be released. That's the elders of the community.
Yes. Yeah, we are demanding that they be released and be charged to court, so that everybody will be able to establish their innocence. There are about 6 of them. Professor Arthur Ekpokpo is one of them. He's a lecturer in Delta State University, Abraka. James Urhobo had died now, according to the army. There's Dennis Orogbae. There's Bevis Adogbo. There's Madam Mabel Okuama. And there's Dennis Malaka. They are detained in places that we don't even know. That cannot happen in peacetime. We are not dealing with Gaza Strip in the Middle East. This is Niger Delta. This is Nigeria.
All right. You said they are detained in prisons you are not aware of. So you cannot categorically say this is where they've been locked up.
No, they didn't even announce where they were locked up, except that when Pa James Ogoroko died, the army then said that he died in a Port Harcourt military cantonment or something.
Do you
they have not told us where they are detained.
Do you suspect foul play in his death?
How do we establish foul play until a commission is properly established? Because when you establish a commission, all sides will have lawyers and the people who have knowledge. The military will state their case, and the Okuama and the Egu Kingdom will state their case. You recall that there have been many victims. Even the king of Egu Kingdom was also arrested and taken to Abuja, and he suffered mental torture for weeks. He was just crowned. Did he take part in the battle of Okuama? And the Okuama community has no buildings now. They have no school. They have no health center. What will warrant that kind of heavy punishment against them? It's unwarranted. So that's why we are making these demands. This is a civil society. It's an elected government, and things should be done in the open. We have sent a petition to the Senate, the House of Representatives. We have sent it to the Criminal Court in The Hague. We have sent it to a Nigerian Human Rights Commission. We are asking everybody to be involved so that this thing can be cleared. It is unheard of in peacetime in Nigeria for the army to pounce on the community and then get it demolished and then detain all its leaders without charging them to court. It is completely unheard of. And we think that it is oppressive, it's injustice, it is barbaric, and should be reversed.
You said you've petitioned, you've written petitions to the government, you've also written petitions to international organizations. Have you gotten any form of response so far?
Not yet. This petition was addressed to Mr. President on the 18th of December, and we got it published in the Vanguard on Monday, which was on the 23rd or thereabouts. So we are expecting a response from the President and his agencies.
Let's go back to the core issue of how all of this unfolded. It seems to be a bit of gray area. I mean, there are reports saying that it's linked to a land dispute of some sort. Probably you might just be able to, I mean, is there any form of credibility to that?
These stories were told by the Nigerian army, and since no further investigation has been carried out, we cannot even verify them. What was the cause of the land dispute? Was it between families, between individuals, or was it between the community of Okuama and the community of Okoloba? These are things that can be established. They are not mysterious. No further step has been taken in that direction. Then, as I told you, while we were waiting for investigation to open, the army entered the community and destroyed it. The first time we had a Bagatin was about Zaki Biam in Benue many years ago. And then one happened in Bayelsa in 1999. But since then, about 20 years, 24 years ago, even those ones, they were investigated and results were published. We don't know what is the situation or the cause of the land dispute. We don't know whether it is a river they are quarreling over. Is it a farmland? Is it part of the places where they are occupying? And to even make matters more suspicious, when the army moved against Okuama, it did not even inform the governor of Delta State. He was not informed. And the Constitution says that he is the chief security officer of the state. The chairman of the two councils, both Ugele South and I think Brutu, they were not even informed. This thing was done surreptitiously in the night or in the daytime, and the whole country was blackened out. Even in World War, there are procedures for attacking communities. A war declared between two parties. In this case, there was no world war, there's no civil war, and then the place was sealed from the communities. The police was not involved. Up to today, the Nigerian police has no story to them. It is unusual. It is unbelievable. It is sacrilegious. And it should not be left this way.
Okay. There's also another report that the Nigerian army actually did show some sort of commitment in its operation in the community to ensure that its equipment and arms were recovered. And maybe that, of course, has triggered this continued operation of the army in the area. I would like you to speak on that, particularly on the aspect of its equipment and arms within the community.
Well, that is part of the story that the army has told. We don't know how many arms were lost. We don't know the types that were lost. We don't know who ordered the use of the arms. We don't know from which armory the arms were taken. And in that operation, they said some soldiers from Urhobo gas plant, about 30 kilometers away, were also involved. Urhobo gas plant is an energy center in Ughelesa local government. What was the officer of Urhobo gas plant doing in Okuama that day? Did the army in Abuja declare a war on that community and then mobilize people from various army platforms? These matters cannot be hidden. They should be investigated. We know the officers who gave the instruction for Okuama to be attacked. It is then we will also know which arms they took along and the armory from which they took the arms, so they can be accounted for. And if it is suspected that some people in Okuama took the arms, they didn't eat them, they didn't chew them, the arms will be discovered. The type of arms will be identified, the manufacturers will be identified. And you cannot do this unless you have taken the people to a court, a civil court, and you bring your evidence against them, then prove that they held the guns or they took them from you. And the Nigerian army, that all of our respect across the world, How would they take arms to a place and they will be dispossessed of the arms? The stories are too tall. Let be investigated thoroughly so that the world, to Nigeria, Urhobo, Delta State, can feel relieved that justice is being done.
Okay. I'm right now on the Delta State government website. I mean, we know that when this attacks happened, some key infrastructure was destroyed. You also even did confirm that in your statement, sir. But I'm seeing it right now that the government begins rebuilding health centers, schools, you know, which of course are some of the key infrastructure in that area. And it goes on to say that about, you know, the health center, about 6 classrooms, you know, have been awarded in terms of contract for reconstruction and all of that. And that hopefully soon displaced persons would return to normalcy as regards living their normal lives before all of these attacks happened. I would like you to speak and if at all confirm if any of these projects have commenced.
Well, I have not visited the place personally, but reports were given that under the condition of total dispossession and destruction, the government of Delta State, headed by Urhobo, had to do something. Although he was not informed or was not brought into the picture by the army, but Okuama is a Delta State community. So the government took some initiative at the beginning when those people were in the forest fighting with snakes and rodents. A place was identified in Otoewu, capital of Ewu Kingdom, where an IDP camp was established by the government. I think the coordination was being handled by Mr. Abraham Obodo, who was the chairman, the editor of the Guardian newspaper before. So some work was being done in order to return, but return to what? All their farms were destroyed. All their crops, they couldn't harvest them. So they cannot even do planting. And the planting season is just next 2 months. So they have not stabilized. We commend the Delta State Fortificate Initiative. In fact, we urge them to be faster and do more so that some measure of rehabilitation can be achieved. All last year, all those students in secondary school, they did the right exams. The people writing primary school did not write exam. What crime did they commit? Even in, I told you, even in Gaza Strip now, schools are actually open. Even in Ukraine, where they're fighting with Russia, schools are not targeted, they are not destroyed. So some measure of assistance was rendered by the Delta State government, and we urge them to work faster and get some infrastructure for the primary and secondary school, and then the health center. But the stories of people who got there is that even when you erect those structures, there's no place to sleep. Where would the human beings sleep? They are sleeping on the open air, are sleeping, looking at the sky, looking at the stars and the moon. No.
Professor.
So the federal government has to come in. It's not just the state government.
All right.
I'm sure when the matter goes to a tribunal, the people who caused the destruction will be asked to rebuild Okuama at their own cost. But we urge the state government to facilitate, add more effort so that the innocent children should not suffer for too long.
All right. Professor Darah, thank you so much. But at this point, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll definitely pick up. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Of course, this is still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we are discussing the Okuama killings, where, of course, we're trying to unravel what the real issues are. I still have my guest with me, Professor Godini Darah. He's a former chairman of PANDEF Delta State Chapter. Thank you for staying with me, sir. Because we are really pressed for time, and we, of course, will be dropping the curtains anytime soon, I would like you also to speak particularly on the well-being of residents post this event. For those that have been able to sort of manage to pick their lives up, how has life been for the current residents of the community as we speak?
Well, it will be difficult to know. I mean, the level of intimidation, physical destruction, psychological trauma, all this will be difficult to measure for individuals and for the community. We are talking only about general matters now. If the matter is properly investigated, there will be trauma matters that will take years to rehabilitate. Imagine ordinary citizens, farmers, fishermen, then one day they woke up and everything they had in life was gone. All their clothes were destroyed, utensils for cooking, paddles, canoes destroyed, all the means of transport. I mean, I told you, it didn't even happen in Nigerian Civil War. I was old enough to know the Civil War. It's a disaster that is unmeasurable. So some of them may have picked up their life. Human beings have a stubborn attitude towards survival. But what kind of life are they living now? They cannot go to farm. They have no farms. They have not planted new crops. So where do they get money? Where do they earn income? Even to go to other markets to buy. And how do they go to other markets? By what means? The place is under siege. And Bhutan, where they have the IDP, is far away from Okuama town itself. So those lives cannot be put together in a hurry. But we commend their spirit. They know that they have not committed any crime to warrant this. That will help their spirit to survive. But you know, it's even bigger than pure physical destruction and dislocation. From a philosophical point of view, the destruction of Okuama constitutes a desecration of the heritage of ancestors of Okuama people. And in Urhobo land, when you offend the ancestors, it's an unpardonable crime. So this settlement we're talking about physical resettlement first. But there are longer issues that will require bigger compensation by the federal government. If you destroy a people like that, you've also destroyed their heritage. Our heritages are irreplaceable. They are intangible.
All right.
So we hope that Mr. President, having sworn to the Constitution to defend it, will take prompt action to stop the soldiers from the terrorism and the genocidal work they are doing there. Okay. Then establish a commission with high caliber officers of Nigeria, both soldiers and civilians, judiciary and co, to find out what happened. Because it will amaze you that we are talking about two communities that had land dispute. One being Okuama, Urhobo, the other one being Okoloba, Bamadi local government. All these things that happened for 9 months now, nothing has happened to Okoloba. They have not arrested somebody there. And that is very curious. If people have a conflict, there will be two sides of the conflict. And both sides will be held accountable.
Why do you think, sorry, Professor Darah, why do you think, you said that there has been no arrest in Okoloba Kingdom? There has been no investigation, no arrest. The place is still pretty much peaceful. Why do you think that is?
I don't know why the federal government has not investigated. The federal government is the owner of the army. Section 217 describes the role of the army. It's set up to defend external aggression and to defend integrity of the country. did not set up to destroy communities. 217 is clear there. The crime the army have committed are so heavy that they will pay the reparation for a very long time. Can the army go and build up temporary buildings for the victims? Why are they not doing it? Can they arrange some humanitarian assistance? All these abyssal forests in that groups of soldiers and platforms are wiped out by militants. Don't the army go there to save people? Don't they donate things to Borno State from time to time to all those areas that are affected by these militants? The army goes there to even have to help the victims and the people. Why haven't they extended it to Okuama? Right. They will answer for this. They will answer now, and they will answer in the future.
All right, Professor.
Because when it comes to the matter of fighting injustice, I can assure them, Urhobo people never lose a battle of justice. And we will not lose this one.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Professor Darah, former chairman of PANDEF Delta State Chapter. We, of course, truly appreciate your time on Politics HQ this evening. Thank you, sir. Well, and on that note, this is where we drop the curtains on today's episode. We truly believe and hope that justice will be found on this particular issue. In case you missed today's episode, you can catch up on our YouTube platform. That's News Central TV. There'll also be a repeat broadcast later tonight. You might also want to sit around for that. In case you choose to follow News Central across social media, the handle is on your screen, News Central TV. And in case you choose to follow me personally, my name is Darah Adigboyi. Until I come your way tomorrow, good night.